Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 7th edition of OCLF, proudly presented to you by the Raisoni Foundation. We now present an inspiring session, Building a Viksit Bharat, how innovation, self-confidence, and collective purpose can shape our future. Our speaker today, Mr. Aditya Pittie, is a dynamic entrepreneur, angel investor, author, and policy thought leader. As the leader of the Pittie Enterprises Group and a mentor to India's next generation innovators, he stands at the intersection of industry, governance, and nation building. Inspired by the vision of the Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji, he contributes actively to India's growth discourse as a convener of the BJP intellectual cell, Western Maharashtra. He holds a Bachelor of Science in Engineering degree from the University of Michigan and an MS and an MBA degree from Massachusetts Institute of Technology. He has authored a groundbreaking book, Viksit Bharat, India at 2047, which presents a data-driven blueprint charting India's transformation into a developed nation. He has also previously co-authored the book, Modi's Northeast Story, apologies. He frequently writes articles and op-eds and appears on national television, digital and print media, and he brings world-class insight to India's developmental journey. This evening, he invites us to imagine and build a brighter, bolder Viksit Bharat. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a huge round of applause to our speaker, Mr. Aditya Pittie. He will be in conversation with Ms. Bhavya Chowdhury, an engineer from PEC Chandigarh, a management graduate from IIM Shillong, and a passionate educator who founded Bullseye Nagpur in 2013. Over the years, she has guided students to top global and Indian institutions, and since 2022, she has served at the head of Bullseye India, Pan India, championing excellence and joyful learning. An avid reader, she also runs a free library to promote the love of reading. We also extend our appreciation to Prakash Books for their publisher support. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Aditya Pittie and Ms. Bhavya Chowdhury.
Thank you, Naveen, for that wonderful introduction. Good evening to one and all. We've all had last 2 days filled with a very enriching, enlightening journey, right? I'm sure all of you would be attending various sessions from economics to art to spiritualism, right? Various topics. But the session today, the session right now that we are having is about all of this. It's about everything. And I'm not kidding. Just look at the book. Just look at the book and look at this way, right? So you know when I say that this session is about everything. Everything that India can be and will be in 2047. A Viksit Bharat, right? Aditya ji has put wonderfully this book. It's the mission and the vision statement for India. Right? हमारे भारत के लिए. Now that brings me to my first question, sir, today. Usually we say, जब कोई 750 पन्ने लिखता है, तो या तो उसने बहुत सफर किया होता है, या फिर कुछ बहुत wonderful discover किया होता है. So what was it for you? What drove you to explore India from every possible angle?
Thank you, Bhavya ji. So, mine is always a positive mindset. Even if I've suffered, I'll never talk about that. But the entire idea of the book came about, first of all, Honorable Prime Minister used this term Viksit Bharat in 2023. The first time that he used it, it was a light bulb moment for me because, like she said, I saw it as a vision and mission statement for the country. Corporates have this vision and mission statements, but this is for the nation. And I thought this is a very important initiative to, for all citizens to come together and work for nation building. I also found that over the years, Honorable Prime Minister spoke about it multiple times. I also ran a couple of programs for Viksit Bharat in Pune and Mumbai. I reside in Pune. And there was a lot of interest among people attending to understand what is the vision and what exactly is Viksit Bharat. So, I'll first set that straight. Literal translation, as we all know, means developed India. Developed nation, the definition comes from IMF, International Monetary Fund, or the World Bank. And these are typical economic metrics. So if a country has achieved a per capita income usually in excess of 15,000 US dollars, 1.5, it's termed as a developed nation. However, Honorable Prime Minister's vision was much more holistic and larger. His idea was that, yes, you have to meet these targets to be called a developed nation, but we need to do it differently. We need to do it in an Indian style, where every citizen has a minimum quality and standard of living. I travel to the US quite frequently. It's the largest economy in the world. But, the social problems there are increasing. The income inequality is increasing. So our vision is that every citizen needs to have a minimum standard quality of living, what is called Antyodaya. And every citizen must have access to world-class infrastructure, education, health services. We must do this while protecting the environment in a sustainable manner. Most developed countries, followed the trajectory of development without concern with the environment. Once they achieve that, then they can give gyan to the other countries who are on this path ki aap log kam karo emission, all that sort of thing. But India is the only one of the largest economies in the world that, despite being on a development path, is doing it in a sustainable, responsible manner. We must also have pride in our civilization culture. So this aspect of Viksit Bharat is very different. So first of all, in the book, in 20 chapters, I try to unbundle what is Viksit Bharat. Secondly, I wanted to tell, my training is like the intro said, I'm an engineer, I studied at MIT. I'm taught to think with data and frameworks. So I try to tell a story with data. I can have an opinion, somebody else can have an opinion, we all have opinions. But frankly, it's meaningless. It's important to bring data. I'm always reminded of a famous quote that I use for myself and in my business. It's by W. Edwards Deming. He is considered the quality guru. So if a manufacturing company wins the Deming Prize, it's like winning the, say, Nobel Prize of manufacturing and quality. He says, in God we trust, rest must bring data. So, once you bring data, everything is clear. Then it's no longer your opinion or my opinion. It will be your number versus my number. So that's the other thing I try to do. My reference citation section is 40 pages long. So you can understand where all the data has come from. And it's a positive narrative. I'm a positive guy. I'm not looking in the rearview mirror. I'm trying to present with data where Bharat is at today. And from here, how will we reach our 2047 targets? And just quickly, it's been a long answer, but the two things that I was passionate to further write in this book is it is a call to action for every citizen to come forward and do something for nation building. This nation, once it becomes developed, is for all of us. And it is a collective effort that will get us there. It's not only 10 or 50 people sitting in New Delhi who will get us to 2047. We'll get it all neatly packaged and handed to us as a gift. We'll all have to do. People ask me, what can we do? I come from Pune where traffic is chaotic. So I tell people it's something as small as following traffic rules. That's your contribution to nation building. And the fourth aspect of this book is to develop this self-confidence in Bharat. ultimately a country becomes a superpower not just by the strength of its economy or the military strength. It comes from this self-confidence, self-belief. This America has in plenty. So we need to develop this self-confidence. So this was the aspects.
Yes, so the session also stays here. So we're looking at the aspects of the first word out there is innovation. बिना innovation के हम लोग आगे नहीं बढ़ सकते हैं. But sir, somehow आदित्य जी ये innovation बहुत भारी शब्द लगता है हमें. ऐसा है एक मानना है कि यार ये innovation तो ये geeks, techies, सब scientist लोगों का काम होता है. So what is your vision? How can an average Indian citizen, a Jan, contribute to innovation? What can our students, our shopkeepers, for them, what is innovation?
Sure, Bhavya ji, for me, innovation is not only what, the tech companies or engineers are pursuing. There can also be process innovation. We are taught this. One is, the hard technology innovation. One is process innovation, which in India we are really good at, right? What is Jugaad? Ultimately, Jugaad is some sort of innovation. Process innovation also, things that you're running with 10 steps, if you can do it in 5, that is innovation. And the Indian mindset is very well conditioned to do this. I think innovation will be a very big pillar to get us to Viksit Bharat for a couple of reasons. One is that, the human mind is conditioned to think linearly. That's how the mind is made. You think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Even when I'm extrapolating and talking about data, $30 trillion, all of that, it is just what with the data available with us. Technology and innovation has the capacity to provide what is called a step change. Just like a step is there, it's not linear. We can suddenly go ahead, and this is where the importance of innovation lies. I'm personally feeling, one thing is what the data suggests we will reach by 2047. My personal belief is with the investment happening in new technology, innovation, push, startups, whatever you may say, I personally believe that we will hit these targets earlier. And today, innovation, is being driven by government. We must also, thank the US government for pushing us harder to do some things that we intended to do later, we are doing now. So whether it's a strong push for defense manufacturing, strong push for semiconductors, AI, quantum technologies, all of this is now happening. Also, what I'm really happy to see today is that this innovation is not only happening at HAL or DRDO at ISRO, which they are doing a fantastic job. This is now happening with the startups. So, Agnikul Cosmos is a company doing great stuff, 3D printed rocket engines. These kind of things are happening in the country. I know of another company in Hyderabad that is making drones. A lot of the success in Operation Sindoor also came from a lot of technology invented by startups. So, a lot of good things are happening. And again, this is something that all citizens can contribute and all companies can contribute, small or big. You need not wait for the large public MNCs only.
Great. All of us can contribute. I think जब आप वो भी defense की बात कर रहे थे, तो ऑपरेशन सिंदूर में नागपुर में भी एक कंपनी है which contributed to the development of defense. So yes, our startup ecosystem is strong, so all of us can contribute. जैसे आपने बोला कि इस बुक में हम envision कर रहे हैं that India will become a $30 trillion economy.
Historic, it's growing faster every year. And why this sector is important is not only is it 30% today, this, I give the example, it's like small saplings. So the large companies, the Tata, Birla, all of that, they are already like large banyan trees, But look at the amount of saplings we have in India. So, we are one of the few countries in the world that has such a robust and deep MSME sector. Countries like US, etc., the developed world, they are mostly operating with larger companies. We also know that US has lost out on manufacturing, which President Trump is now trying to bring back however he's trying to bring it back. But in India, it's a deep, rich ecosystem that we have. So one can only imagine that that small company that's doing a revenue of 10 crores, once it becomes 100 or 1,000, and we have millions of these, what kind of contribution potential they have. So it's absolutely vital. And also the smaller tier 2, 3 towns in India, cities in India, where there is a larger concentration of MSMEs will be driving all this growth.
So yes, of course, the SME and the Nagpur sector has. I will move to the next, the section 10 of your book, which is about social welfare and inclusivity. And if you don't mind, I'll quote the starting 2 lines. These are the 2 lines that touched when I was reading this book, right? And it's the chapter starts with Shat Hast Samaharah. सहस्त्र हस्त संकिरह. ट्रांसलेट करती हूँ. क्रिएट वेल्थ विद 100 हैंड्स. शत हस्त समाहरह. 100 हाथों से वेल्थ क्रिएट करिए, लेकिन सहस्त्र हस्त 1000 हाथों से उसे बांटिए. Right? So it's about inclusivity and distribution, that the chapter is about. The core idea, जन भागीदारी, जो आप बोल भी रहे थे कि सब का कंट्रीब्यूशन चाहिए, जन भागीदारी चाहिए. पर कहीं ना कहीं हम लोग सिटीजन्स आके सोचते हैं कि हम ब्यूरोक्रेसी और रेड टेप में शायद हमारा जन हेल्पलेस फील करता है कई बार. सो बियॉन्ड probably the power of voting and paying taxes, what else do you think our jan can contribute?
So few things. That quote was very important to me. It's come from the Atharva Ved. And one must understand that this in our scriptures, what they are saying, what is perceived that wealth creation is bad. And India doesn't believe in wealth creation is absolutely wrong. In fact, our ancient scriptures and knowledge system taught us that you can't do great social work and social service until you're financially strong. Purushartha says that in the various things. So the artha is very important. And this is exactly what that quote is coming from. Now, as a strong nation, we can keep talking socialism, all of that. But I'm always reminded by a quote of Margaret Thatcher, which says, the problem with socialism is that you soon run out of other people's money. Right? आपके पास है ही नहीं, आप कितना distribute करोगे? Now, once India became a stronger nation economically, and the Honorable Prime Minister understands that, even with his experience in Gujarat, we've grown now to become the 4th largest economy in the world, 4.3 trillion today. People have a negative viewpoint. Oh, we are still so far away from this country or that country. But I keep saying, see the journey we have traversed, right? In 2014, we were at about 2 trillion. We've become 4.3. The per capita income in India has tripled. Our gap, many people love talking about China. I don't, because I'm looking at my country. I'm only interested in my country. And that's a totally different model of governance. You can't have China, but then you'll not have your democratic rights. So, but I still say the people who talk about China, ki our gap has narrowed a lot. Who's saying that they are not ahead? But the gap has narrowed. So only when we became a strong nation economically and financially, were we able to do the quantum of direct benefit transfers that we were able to do, which helped us even in COVID. The numbers are staggering. My book is all about data, but each time I look at or update myself on some of these numbers, I get shocked. Have I read a 0 wrong or 2 zeros wrong? Till date, I think the direct benefit transfer has been to the tune of about 48 lakh crores. In UPI, as you know, we are the number 1 in the world in digital transactions. India is handling today close to 40% of global digital transactions. In October, the number of transactions done in 1 month was 20 billion with a B, which is 1,000 million. So the scale with which we are operating is staggering. And this is why our model of development is very interesting, just like I explained how our model of Viksit Bharat is different. I think the model of development that government is following is very good for a country because we are still a developing country. We still have a lot of marginalized populations who need upliftment and support. So this is being given by DBT. This is being given by food grain support. 25 crore people were lifted out of extreme multidimensional poverty while we also landed first country to land on the south pole of the moon. So this is very similar. This is a kind of an example to me of how this country is operating. Bottom up and top down. Top down is, there is a huge infrastructure spend that is happening. This creates a multiplier effect in the economy. It encourages private investment to come in, factories to be set up, manufacturing to be set up, people get employed, you get income, you spend it again in the economy. So that's a typical top down. But we are also doing a bottom up, and I think it's much needed in our country while we are on this path of development. We are not here only to, break records or meet targets. The idea is to do it in a holistic manner and in a compassionate manner. So it's a very interesting model of development that we are pursuing.
Yes, of course. When I was reading the book also.
Sorry, I'll just add one thing, Bhavya ji.
Yeah.
You also mentioned that the target is tough to reach 30 trillion. I'll just give you a quick numbers because I'm a numbers guy, and it's important because also the human mind, like I told you about linear thinking, doesn't comprehend very large numbers very easily. Your trillions and all of that. So today we are at 4.3. If we have to reach 30 plus by 2047, it's 22 years. It's simple mathematics. It will require a compounded annual growth rate of about 9.2%. This, just for your information, is called a nominal growth rate. When you delete inflation, etc., it gives a real growth rate. Even despite global headwinds and global uncertainties today, we are already hitting that GDP growth rate number that we require. So this is where we are at. I like to even further simplify and tell people it's like an example of a T20 cricket match. What I'm trying to tell with these numbers is that it is a required run rate is very reasonable, like 6-7 runs and over. We should be able to do it provided we don't do something crazy and lose all our wickets. So uska analogy hai that policy consistency remains, this kind of governance remains. And it's not like we require 20 runs and over. And also again, to give an example, like of some countries like Japan, China, South Korea, they did the very same thing. In fact, they were able to achieve much higher growth rate numbers consistently over a longer period of time. So A, it's a reasonable required run rate. B, many other teams have done it. So Bharat to aaram se kar lega.
Yeah, that's true. That is the positive note the book is all about, right? And I like to share his optimism, right? I want to believe that we can do it, and the India will be able to do it. And education is close to me. तो जब मैंने ये किताब उठाई, मैंने सबसे पहले section पढ़ा education वाला, और फिर दूसरा section पढ़ा entrepreneurship पे. These two sections, they mention so much of detail, so many initiatives that are already run by the government, which I was not aware, like AIM, Bhaskar, PM Vidya Lakshmi scheme, scholarship scheme for higher education, and a lot more, right? The book has so many acronyms, right? It is so many things. Government अच्छा काम कर रही है, बहुत कुछ available है, पर शायद हमें पता ही नहीं है, awareness नहीं है कि कितने सारे initiatives हैं. There is a internship for youth program, for example. I didn't know that, and a lot of kids keep on asking me कि मैम internship कहाँ करे. So I was not aware. So ये awareness की responsibility किसकी है? Government की है कि, or is it like law in India? Ignorance is not my defense. So ये कहाँ है पर ये?
This is definitely a challenge. I think the good stuff happening, the schemes, etc., need to be better communicated. But I also encourage all of you, like I mentioned about doing something for nation building. I say also take responsibility of your own development and building yourself. So I'm always a firm believer not waiting for anything. I feel in general, and I'm sure you guys have a feel, yes, there are many issues that still need to be resolved. The idea was when this government took over in 2014 to handle first the big structural reforms, whether it's GST or insolvency, banking code, etc. So those were done. Second is to build out infrastructure at an amazing pace. You'll see now, look at the number of airports, highways, railways, Vande Bharat, all that, because that only government can do. So I keep telling people it's like the government has now fertilized the soil for us. Or bhi karenge, but I think the time is ripe for whichever field you're in, if you're a student, an entrepreneur, whatever it is. I think it's important to reach out to people in administration, government, whichever department that your business or interest lies with, and find out what's there. Like Bhavya ji said, I also found out a lot of things while researching the book. So it's amazing. So instead of seeing it negatively, yes, somebody can communicate better, we can get no. Again, I'm seeing it positively that try and reach out, find out what's there. Now, thankfully, you guys all have Grok and Chat GPT and all on your phone. So it's easy to find out all these things. It's also much easier to fact check things. So, that's my idea. When people try to counter me, ye nahi hua, ve nahi hua, maine suna hai, kuch nahi hua hai. The time is gone now for all of this. We have technology. You can easily fact check yourself. You can fact check me. So I would encourage you to actually go out and do that. So I'm again seeing it positively that there are n number of schemes, initiatives, all that. I'll apply for it with SIDBI, Small Industries Development Bank of India. We also are registered MSME. So I told him, fine. He said, sir, aap US mein hai. We have to just submit certain things online on some portal. One OTP will come to you. You need to just share that. So I said, fine, I'm a 12.5 hour difference. Timing dekh ke kar lena. OTP came, I shared it. Within 24 hours, I had a sanction letter from SIDBI for the solar power plant. It was under a scheme, again, that I was unaware of, called GIFT, G-I-F-T. I think it stands for Green Investment Financing something. This is also an initiative by the Ministry of MSME. I have no idea. And you'll be surprised that interest rate was 7%, which I got a shock of my life. Ki ye kaise ho sakta hai? And then I realized how all this has happened. So even I am a happy beneficiary of many of the government schemes that I myself was unaware of. So similarly, I would encourage you to kind of find out, do a bit more homework, and everything is available when you search.
Yes, that's a powerful insight, right? We can use ChatGPT, apart from doing homework or checking which is the cheapest flight rate, we can actually find out what government schemes are available. आपने अपने किताब में ज्ञान पर बहुत फोकस किया है. गरीब, युवा, अन्नदाता एंड नारी शक्ति, राइट? तो डेमोक्रेसी में रहते हैं, यहाँ पे मेजॉरिटी युवा की है, तो उसी की बात करते हैं, which is the case always. No, India is at a very demographic advantage, right? Our median age is 29 or 28.29 now, right? So the median age in India is 29. That's a huge demographic advantage that we have. So what is your message to the yuva that's sitting here? That the one message what they should, look forward to, what they can use in Viksit Bharat.
I'm glad you asked me this. I am a business person. I'm not a professional author. One of the main aims for me, to be honest, to write this book, A, and B, to come to places like Nagpur and Indore and Dehradun and do a lot of media appearances, is to pass the message of this book. And this has all been done for the youth, for the yuva. Because like she said, the median age in our country is 29. We have this huge demographic dividend. Along with that, I'm telling all the youth that we are in what is called a Goldilocks period economically. We are the fastest growing major economy in the world, and we have now reached one of the lowest inflation levels in our history. This is called a Goldilocks period. I firmly believe that the next decade or two is a once in a lifetime opportunity to be living in India, to be working in India, to be making in India, making for the world. And this is why I'm running around, because for me, this is the most important message for the youth. And I tell you all that y'all are not only the beneficiaries of Viksit Bharat, right? 2047, y'all will be the one, but you are the architects of Bharat, of Viksit Bharat. So this message for you to imbibe is the most important even for me. आप लोग ही करोगे, so even I can enjoy the Viksit Bharat in 2047. So really, this is the most important demographic as far as I am concerned.
Certainly, we look forward to. And एक पर्सनल सवाल, जैसे आपने बोला आपको बहुत सारी स्कीम्स के बारे में खुद नहीं पता था जब आप रिसर्च कर रहे थे. यू आर एन इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट, राइट? तो ये पॉलिसी डोजियर जब आप लिख रहे थे, व्हाट वाज वन केस स्टडी दैट रियली शॉक्ड यू और चेंज योर पर्सपेक्टिव? दिस बुक हैज अ लॉट ऑफ केस स्टडीज, so which one was the one?
I think it was more to do with infrastructure. I have a section on that. Again, why? Because infrastructure no private company can do. Privately they can't. Somebody thinks I'll develop my own highway to my factory or build my own airport. ऐसा होता नहीं है. So the government, what they focused on spending in infrastructure is absolutely critical because it directly or indirectly impacts all sectors. Also, every rupee spent on infrastructure has a 3 to 4 times leverage of the economy. Means every rupee spent on infrastructure has a 3 to 4x effect in the economy. So this has been shocking to me. Like they mentioned in my intro, last year I had co-authored a book called Modi's Northeast Story. This was to document the transformation of Northeast India. Because it's a big story, I also only knew the headline. I had never in my life gone to Northeast. I took 2 tours to all the states and I was shocked with what I saw. And we've been to some places in Arunachal Pradesh where the villagers, I saw all the big highways, Bogeybill Bridge, which is now called Bhupen Hazarika Bridge, all that things I saw, places where airports have come first time, railways have come first time. What most shocked me was a place in Arunachal where a road had not come for 70 years. So can you imagine? We were talking these stories. So this is the sort of thing that is most surprising. And secondly, I would say while researching and working on the book, the most difficult task was keeping my data up to date. Because the pace, scale and speed with which the country is progressing, it took me about 10 months to do this project. So in the 10 months, the data was changing. Then, the process is it goes to a publisher, their editorial team checks and works on it. That took 2-3 months. Within that time, the data was changing. So that became the toughest part. You'll be surprised, I'll just end with one anecdote. In the book, it's written that India has a target to achieve 50% of its energy production from green energy by 2030. That's written in my book. As an author, I'm embarrassed, but as a citizen of the country, I'm very proud to say that India achieved this target 5 years ahead of target. It was done few months ago. So that's the kind of stuff happening.
Yeah, that is surprising that we've already achieved this target. Yeah. Naveen, do we have time for audience question? Can we take, or do I need to wind up? As you say, on your command.
We'll take one audience question.
Okay. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My question to you is, being a corporate trainer myself, as we build Viksit Bharat, how do you think we can build a culture of continuous learning and leadership, not just in classrooms, but also in the corporates that we work in?
I mean, it's an interesting question. See, I am continuously in a learner mindset. I'm in student mode all the time. So I think this is something that needs to be imbibed. But I think that this is now being forced upon us because the pace of change is accelerating. With AI, all of the new tech coming in fact, if you don't update yourself, you're left far behind. So I think even if you don't have it in you, I think it's like evolution in a sense. you'll, the species will be wiped out if you're not a learner, in a sense. So I think your job or whatever you're doing will demand that you evolve and keep yourself updated, and you'll have to go into a, continuous learner mindset.
About this book is, thank you. The best part about this book is that, you can read any chapter in any order. It's like any order, you don't have to go it in a story, and every chapter is a story in itself, right? I will share your optimism again and say that when purpose becomes collective, progress is inevitable. So we are definitely going to achieve.
So I will try to outquote her.
Yeah.
I always, use this quote, which is my favorite, from Honorable Prime Minister. यही समय है, सही समय है, भारत का अनमोल समय है. Thank you, Jai Hind.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank the speaker, Aditya Pittie, and the moderator, Bhavya Chowdhury, for an insightful discussion. Thank you, sir, for helping us daring to dream again for this country, for what this country stands for and what this country aspires for. Thank you so much for this insightful session. Ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause for yourselves for sitting and understanding and giving support to every speaker at OCLF. We have a little bit of news. OCLF 8th edition is coming. The dates are out, 20th, 21st and 22nd of 2026. We're all going to be there. Please enjoy the rest of the sessions.